Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm Nicolette Hodge.
Assalamu alaikum, sisters and brothers. I'm Fatima Hodge.
Welcome to We Reflect the Light. Today we will be identifying the economic destruction that America will soon be experiencing and how that relates or how that's going to affect the original Black man and woman right here in North America. All right, sisters and brothers, the war in the Middle East is on. It's in full action and it's intensifying day by day. And the book of Revelations tells us where the war is located, who is participating in the war, and the outcome of the war. So let's get right into it. And occurred war in the heaven. The Michael and the angels of him, of the two warred with the dragon, and the dragon warred and the angels of it, and not it proved strong. Not but place was found of them yet in the heaven. And was thrown the dragon the great, the serpent the archaic, the being called devil and the Satan, the making to err the being inhabited whole. He was thrown into the earth, and the angels of him with him were thrown. All right, sisters and brothers. And occurred war in the heaven. Heaven is the Middle East. This reality teaches us that heaven is somewhere beyond the sun, moon, and stars. However, how could that be verified? How can that be proven? So we must understand that these things are physical. The scripture is telling us exactly what's going on right now and what to expect any day. And heaven is a physical place, it is the Middle East. So the war in the Middle East is in action. It shares that there's Michael and his angels of the two war with the dragon, and the dragon ward and the angels of it. So that's identifying two different groups that are fighting against each other in the Middle East. So Michael and his angels is our God, Master Farad Muhammad. That's Michael. And his angels are Iran and Syria. And they're fighting against the dragon and his angels. The dragon is the House of Saud, and his angels are America, Britain, and false Israel. All right, and then it shares the outcome of the war in the Middle East. Which group is going to win? Which one will be defeated? It shares, and was thrown the dragon the great, the serpent the archaic, the being called devil and the Satan, the making to err the being inhabited whole. He was thrown into the earth, and the angels of him with him were thrown. So here the scriptures is identifying that the dragon and his angels will be defeated. They will be thrown out of the Middle East. They will be thrown out of heaven. Michael and his angels will be victorious in this war. So this is our guide, sisters and brothers. The unsealed scriptures is our mind and it is our guide. We are being told exactly how the war is going to turn out. That means no matter what they're telling you on the news, this is the true news right here. The angel, which is the unsealed book of Revelations. So they're saying peace talks and deals. However, scriptures tells us that the war is going to end with America, Britain, and false Israel and the House of Saud being thrown out of the Middle East. Right? And there's also details about Satan's destruction, which we know that Satan is false Israel. They will be destroyed right there in the Middle East. America and Britain, let's speak about the dragon and his angels for a moment. The dragon fuels his angels. The dragon supplies oil. So that means Arabia, the House of Saud, they're sitting on our land. They call it Saudi Arabia. The House of Saud supplies fuel to America, Britain, false Israel. And so therefore the dragon fuels his angels. All right. America and Britain have put false Israel over in the Holy Land. They're pretending to be us. However, they're not the true seed of Abraham. We have the proof, we have the history, we have the records to um, document and show that we are, in fact, the true seed of Abraham. America and Britain established false Israel in 1948 to counter Elijah Muhammad's claim that we're the true seed of Abraham. Now, America and Britain, they supply military weapons and they finance false Israel. They are the ones that support false Israel. So we know that America and Britain are going to be kicked out of the Middle East as a result of them losing this war. And false Israel will be left stranded, left to go under siege and be destroyed. Also, America and Britain, America, well, we're going to focus on America right now. America's entire economy is totally dependent upon oil to survive. So this industrialized complex, this industrialized reality of, they need oil for their factories, they need oil for their transportation, they need oil to plant crops, they need oil to harvest crops, they need oil to get food to the grocery store. All right, so when the outcome of this war, when America is defeated over in the Middle East, the dragon and his angels, when they are defeated, that's going to affect, and it's already affecting, America's economy. So the outcome of the war in the Middle East is here, right here in the scriptures, and we're going to keep moving.
Yes, ma'am. All right, sisters and brothers, as Sister Nicolette shared, the oil is what fuels this economy, right? This is, in fact, the Industrial Revolution. So that is what excuse me, sisters and brothers, give me one moment. All right, sisters and brothers. So, as I was saying, the oil fuels this economy, right? So we have to understand that this is the Industrial Revolution. So this is what this economy was fueled with, oil, right? So that oil line is going to be cut off, right? Due to this war that's about to take place, sisters and brothers, that is taking place as we speak, right? So we have to understand that America is going to go through an economic collapse due to this because that oil, like Sister Nicolette shared, fuels everything. This is how they get this is how they get food from here to there. Transportation, you need oil for gas, right? You need oil for your military weapons. You need oil to fuel your homes with heat and things of that nature, sisters and brothers. Oil is used for everything in this economy, right? So once that line is cut, sisters and brothers, economic collapse comes here to America. And America has never experienced a total economic collapse. Nothing like this has ever taken place. So we have to understand that the times that we are about to approach, sisters and brothers, which is unprecedented. It is unprecedented because we have never experienced this, right? No one has ever experienced an economic collapse, which is a time like no other, sisters and brothers. So we have to understand how serious this economic collapse is going to be because, like as you see in this photo here, money is not going to matter. None of these things are going to matter during this time, right? You're not going to be able to go to your, run to the police to call to get help, run to the ambulance, go to the hospital. All these things are not going to be at your service because everyone is going to be sisters and brothers, in survival mode. So we have to understand that how serious the economic collapse is. That means people who are on medicines, people that are in the hospitals and things of that nature will no longer be serviced. All these people who are in nursing homes, everyone who needs certain medications will no longer get these things that they need to live. Because a lot of people are living off of the system, living off of medications and things like that, and you won't be able to get those things. So that's how serious this time is going to be, sisters and brothers, because a lot of people are going to die just because of this economic collapse that takes place. So we have to understand that this is a time like no other. Like I shared, an economic collapse has never taken place here in America. So we have to understand that this time that's approaching us is going to affect people in many different ways, sisters and brothers. And this is the ways that it's going to affect people. We really can't, explain it to you because we haven't experienced it, right? It's a time like no other. So we're giving you an idea of what to expect, what to see, right? Because the scriptures does highlight certain events that will happen to give you an idea of what to expect and to see during these times, right? So we're going to move on to the next slide, where it identifies that it will be people's hearts, men's hearts are going to be failing, right? From fear, from for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. For the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. So, sisters and brothers, this is identifying what is going to take place to people when they find out what's about to happen, right? That means it hasn't happened yet, right? So that alone, finding out about what's about to take place here is going to cause people's hearts to fail, right? From fear. Because, like I shared, this has never happened here in America. No one's prepared for this. They're not prepared for a total economic collapse, sisters and brothers. Nobody has ever even fathom anything of this nature. So you have to understand that people's hearts are going to fail just from fear. And it said from what's to come, meaning it hasn't happened yet. So imagine what's going to take place when this event actually happens, right? And that event is, you have to understand that false Israel is going to be destroyed. Why is that? It said false Israel, if they are in fact God's people like they claim to be, they should not be uprooted, right? Now, it's shared that God's people will not be uprooted. They'll be in peace, right, when they get back to their land. That's not the description that they need, because right now you see them at war. Like she said, Michael and his angel dragons, and you see that war taking place, sisters and brothers. And you also see them about to be uprooted because the scriptures tell you that they will, in fact, false Israel will be destroyed, which is actually Satan, sisters and brothers. So we have to understand that false Israel has stolen the original nation's identity. They have stolen our identity, sisters and brothers. They're claiming to be us, but they're not, sisters and brothers. So the whole world thinks that they are, in fact, blessing God's people, but they're, in fact, cursing God's people. And we are those who they're cursing, right? And it says those who curse God's people will be cursed, right? And those who bless them shall be blessed. So they think that they're being blessed because they're blessing false Israel, God's people, so called. However, we have to understand that they're not who they claim to be. And when they go down, sisters and brothers, that is an abomination because that's not supposed to take place, sisters and brothers. That's not supposed to happen, right? Because they are supposed to be in that land and not uprooted, right? So that's abomination. So that is going to be the shock of the hour to the whole world because they think that God's people is false Israel. So when they go down, sisters and brothers, they're going to be looking at you, right? Because you have that next claim of being God's people, right? Because they put them in that land to counter the fact that we were in fact God's people. They couldn't have that going around that we and us thinking, empowering us that we were God's people, right? So they put those people in that land to portray as us, but we know that they are not who they claim to be. They are false, sisters and brothers, and that lie is soon to be exposed, and all eyes are going to be on you, sisters and brothers, me and you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, so here in the book of Deuteronomy, we're given details about what's going to be taking place during this time of economic collapse, economic destruction. There's going to be a famine, sisters and brothers, because that's what an economic collapse leads to. There's no oil. America's oil will get totally cut off from the Middle East as a result of them losing that war. They will not receive any oil, as Sister Fatima explained. And so that a famine, that means a total lack, no resources that's needed to run an economy. That means there will be no more electricity, no more running water, no more air conditioner, no more gas, no more fuel, no more heat. Society as you know it right now will be totally changed, sisters and brothers. Your lives will not be the same as they are right now. No more movies, entertainment, none of that. No more DoorDash, drive-through runs, no grocery store runs, none of that. So that is a famine, sisters and brothers, because America will not have anything it needs to run its economy successfully. And with that famine, scriptures tells us what our enemies are going to resort to doing. In the book of Deuteronomy, it shares the most tender-hearted man among you will have no compassion for his own brother, his beloved wife, and his surviving children. He will refuse to share with them the flesh he is devouring, the flesh of one of his own children, because he has nothing else to eat during the siege and terrible distress that your enemy will inflict on all your towns. The most tender and delicate woman among you, so delicate she would not so much as touch the ground with her foot, will be selfish toward the husband she loves and toward her own son or daughter. She will hide from them the afterbirth and the new baby she has born, so that she herself can secretly eat them. She will have nothing else to eat during the siege and terrible distress that your enemy will inflict on all your towns. All right, sisters and brothers. So, this scripture, the first thing I notice is extreme. This is unprecedented. This has never happened before. This is it's showing the most tender-hearted man. He's going to go to a whole nother extreme. He will so that means that no one is safe. That means you cannot trust anyone outside of the original nation. So it shows that a man will eat his own children. And then not only is he going to eat his own children, he will refuse to share with them the flesh he is devouring. So that means it's going to be every man for himself. There will be no unity. We are going to see our enemies on a whole nother level, sisters and brothers. This is not this again, as Sister Fatima shared, this is unprecedented. This is not something that has ever happened before. It shares that a woman will hide from her own family the afterbirth and the new baby that she has born, so that she can secretly eat that baby herself. How is that possible, to hide your newborn baby in the afterbirth? How is that? So that means that you would have to give birth in silence. So this is showing extreme measures of survival that these devils will be taking. And they will not have any compassion. So that means that they won't be having any compassion and care for their own family, their own children. They're looking at each other as the next meal. So this is to show the seriousness, how critical this time period is of unprecedented trouble that we are coming into, sisters and brothers. These devils are not playing. And they're telling us on the news and we have that they're not going to go hungry, even when there isn't any food. They're not going to, they've already shared that they're not going to allow their children to go hungry. And so what does that mean for us? What does that mean for us when we are in the U.S. Constitution? We are classified 3/5 human, which means that they're classifying us as animals. Animals are meat, meat can be eaten. So they're classifying us as their food source in the time period of a famine. So understand that from my perspective, before they eat each other, they're going to eat us. They're going to do what's legal first. They're going to do what's already, what's already legal for them to do. So we are in a lot of danger, sisters and brothers, because of this economic collapse that's about to take place here in America. So it shares that the most tender and delicate woman among you, so delicate she would not so much as touch the ground with her foot. That means she won't even walk around barefoot. She would be selfish toward the husband she loves and toward her own son or daughter. Again, they will not have any unity amongst each other. No one, they will be totally, again, every man for himself. So what does this mean for us, sisters and brothers? We're being told in advance what to expect. So we're being given this information about how bad it's going to be. That right there shows that there's a door out for us. Otherwise, why would we be being warned or being told in advance how critical this situation is? So with that, let's keep moving.
Yes, ma'am, sister. So to add on to what Sister Nicolette shared, like she shared, there will be the time is going to be so serious to where people are going to be eating each other. It, like she said, you're going to see these devils in their true light, right? Who they truly are, right? Because right now, they're not showing you who they truly are. And right now, our people, think that they're fine, think that they're safe. So this is why this is important. This event is important to take place as well. Because our people need to see. It said experience is the best teacher, right? So our people need to actually witness and see these devils in their true light. Because we can tell you what took place during the Holocaust, to us, which was horror, beat us, raped us, hung us, all these things, the list goes on of what they did to us, right? We can express that to you. But nothing is going to hit like when you actually physically experience it, right? So that's why I said experience the best. You did experience that. We not understand that you are your ancestors. However, sisters and brothers, you have not experienced that in this time, right? In this lifetime, right? So you have to understand that that is important for you to see and this to take place. So it said our people are going to need a great shaking, right? Because that's what's going to fuel you, right, sisters and brothers? Because you're going to see these devils in their true light. You're not going to be trying to stand next to them anymore. You're not going to be trying to lay with them anymore. You're not going to be trying to be their friends anymore, because you're about to see exactly who they are, and they're going to expose that they've been lying to you, sisters and brothers, telling you that they're, acting as if they're just angels, acting like they're just peaceful people. They're not, sisters and brothers. Then you're going to see that, and that's important for you to see that, because experience is the best teacher. You're going to see them in their true light, sisters and brothers, especially when they're going to be attacking all blacks. They're going to be attacking us, sisters and brothers, because we are in fact that evidence of their crime, sisters and brothers, because they committed the crime on us. and they're trying to get rid of the evidence, right? Which is me and you, right? Because we are that evidence, right? That they actually have been cursing God's people, and we are the evidence of that. So they're doing everything in their power to get rid of that evidence. And when that event takes place, before they're going to be attacking all blacks, sisters and brothers, all blacks, even their devil children, sisters and brothers, their demon children, they're going to be attacking all blacks, right? So we have to understand the seriousness of the time, sisters and brothers, because our unity is the only thing that's going to keep us protected, right? All right. So here in Isaiah, it identifies what would take place to the enemy and what would happen to for us, right? So we have to understand that this, like I shared, our unity, us coming together through our discipline, the five mathematical pillars of Islam, that is in fact your protection, sisters and brothers, our unity and us operating through our nature, right? So, sisters and brothers, that is our protection. And it says right here in Isaiah, it says, therefore, this is what the so am I saying that right, sister? Can you highlight that word for me? So I can.
Yes, ma'am. Therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says.
Yes, ma'am. Okay. Sovereign. Let me make sure I had that words correct. So therefore, this is what the sovereign Lord says, right? It says, my servants will eat, right? Because we will in fact have food, sisters and brothers, during this time. And it shares, but you will starve, right? And this is when the cannibalism will take place, sisters and brothers, because they will in fact be starving and they will be eating their own children. And like Sister Nicolette highlighted, before they do that, they're definitely going to be looking at you, right? Because they're not going to eat their children first, right? They're going to be focused on who you, right? So because they put you as constitution, they prepared for this time for you to be classified as food, right? But sisters and brothers, they will starve, sisters and brothers, and my servants will eat, right? Because, like I shared, when we come together, we will eat, sisters and brothers. That's nothing for us to fear, because that is a part of why we have to come together as that mighty nation, right? So it says that, but and listen, let me continue. It says, my servants will drink. It identifies that we will drink. Identifying that we will eat, drink, sisters and brothers. And it says, my servants, excuse me, sister, but you will be thirsty, sisters and brothers. So this is identifying that they, another highlighting that they will not have anything, no hope, sisters and brothers, for these devils, for our enemies, no hope, right? And it says, my servants will rejoice, right? Sisters and brothers, when we come together, you're not going to have anything to fear because our unity is what we're going to be protected by, us together. Us through the five mathematical pillars of Islam, we're not going to be ashamed, sad, like they will be, right? Sisters and brothers, because we are going to be with our people, our nation, right? So it says, but you will be sad and ashamed, right? And that's exactly what they'll be, sisters and brothers. No hope. That highlights that again. It says, my servants will sing for joy, right? But you will cry in sorrow and despair, sisters and brothers. So this is just highlighting the fact that we, the black man and woman of America, God's people, we will be safe, right? And we will not be going through cannibalism like they will be. We will have food, right? We will be happy. We will be together, right? So this is just highlighting that there's nothing for our nation to, fear, right? Because once we come together in our unity, we will have that protection that we need to get out of there, to get out of this situation that's about to approach, which is why we're here warning you about it. So you are aware of what's about to take place. So you do not get caught up in, the devil's destruction, sisters and brothers. So this is highlighting that, sisters and brothers, there's nothing for you to fear, right? And a black woman, you're going to be protected, right? So that's what this scripture here in Isaiah is highlighting. Sister Nicolette, would you like to expound on this scripture?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, thank you. All right, sisters and brothers, here in the book of Daniel, it shares, and such as do wickedly against the covenant shall he corrupt by flatteries. But the people that know their God shall be strong and do exploits. So, again, as Sister Fatima identified, our protection is in our unity. That's our discipline. It shares that we're going to be strong and do exploits. That means that's identifying that we're going to achieve that unity, that unity 100%. And it shares that we'll be strong and do exploits. That means that we are going to be victorious. That means we won't be, weak or in any of those negative things that, comes along with being fearful or, you know, um, being anxious. It shares that we will be strong and do exploits. So that just identifies that we are going to be victorious in this situation of us overcoming America's destruction and getting out of here. This is very important, sisters, because as mothers, sometimes we can worry. Worry about, I know, just looking at the news can be worrying and stressful because you see all these things going on in the world and, you don't know how, it's going to turn out, things of that nature. However, the scriptures tells us exactly how the war is going to turn out and tells us what it is that we are to look forward to. It identifies how, even the kind of spirit that, the kind of attitude and enthusiasm that we're going to have at that time period as well. It shares, the last scripture was sharing, we're going to sing for joy. We're going to be rejoicing. We're doing exploits. That is the attitude of, a warrior queen, a soldier, standing up for our nation. So understand that our victory is written all throughout the scriptures. And there's nothing that they can do to, well, how do I want to put this? They will not be able to carry out their plans as they are planning to do. All of their plans we are intercepting all of their plans against us. They're trying to deal with us shrewdly, trying to trick us and deceive us. However, scriptures is identifying that we overcame all of that. So motivation and reassurance, sisters, that you will be protected and you will be secured. So you don't have to worry or be fearful about, anything as far as, how are your babies going to eat? How are we going? Scriptures told you that we're going to eat. Scriptures told you that we're going to drink. So understand that we're going to make sure that all of our basic needs are met. And all we need is each other. As Sister Fatima shared, our unity, us coming together, we are one body. We're going to take care of each other. We're going to make sure that we have what we need and we will be fed. So you don't have to worry, how are you going to stay clean? How are you going to, clean yourself and things of that nature? You don't have to worry about any of those things because that's part of us coming together as a body and making sure that we are meeting all of our basic needs so that we can fulfill our vision of returning home to our promised land, Arabia. We're getting out of America. So we have a doorway out of America's destruction. That's why we are to, scriptures telling us come out of America. However, it shares, and such as do wickedly against the covenant, shall he corrupt by flatteries. Our covenant, the Abrahamic covenant, is our vision. It should that the land unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. That land is Arabia. So we have already been given our own land. However, there's those who are doing wickedly against the covenant. They're totally against our vision, totally against the covenant, such as the chief demon Louis Farrakhan. The preachers and deacons, they're demons as well. They don't want us to go home. You know, Farrakhan is saying that we ain't going nowhere. He's saying that we deserved all the affliction that we endured because we're sinful and we're wicked, and us having the kinky nappy hair and thick nose and the dominant features of a god. He's saying that we're distorted and that we're cursed. However, the scriptures does not back up any of what he's saying. They're telling us to accept reparations. The preachers and deacons, they're telling us, first of all, they're not even allowed to read the Abrahamic covenant to you. They're telling us that we need to get reparations, 6 states, try to make America great. All of that is, they're trying to destroy us, sisters and brothers. That's part of their shrewd plans. That deception is part of their weapon that they're using against us. So understand that we have a covenant, we have a vision, we have a door out of America's destruction, and no one can stop us from walking through that door, period. So, would you like to add anything else, Sister Fatima?
Amen. All right, sisters and brothers. It reads in Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17, that no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Right? I'm going to read the whole scripture. So it said, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and you will refute every tongue that excuses you. This is the head church. Am I saying that right?
Heritage.
Heritage, yes, ma'am. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their vindication is from me. All right, sisters and brothers, so we're going to, like we have highlighted here, the focus is the fact that no weapon formed against you shall prosper, right? So this highlights the scripture prior that Sister Nicolette just expressed, that we will do exploits during this time, right? And no weapon that's formed against us will prosper, meaning basically is identifying that there will be weapons that are formed against you, right? Because they are planning they want to kill us, right? They want to get rid of us, right? And we're going to be here during that time. Sisters and brothers, during the tribulation, we will be here, right? So they're going to be trying everything in their power to, get rid of us, right? But it said that their weapons will not prosper against us, right? And this is because our unity, us coming together as that one body, sisters and brothers, because we have to understand that we are in fact one body, right? So each part of that body matters. So we have to understand that once we come together and have that mindset of one, that we're one, and if one fails, we all fail, then we are going to be protected through that vision, sisters and brothers, understanding that the 5 mathematical pillars of Islam is in fact our nature. And once we're applying that, and we all are applying that, imagine that, sisters and brothers, we're all going to be applying the 5 mathematical pillars of Islam. And we're all going to be together, one body on top of that. That's why I say we will do exploits, sisters and brothers. That's how powerful we're going to be. Sisters and brothers, this is why no weapon formed against us shall prosper. They can come in any way against us, and it will not. All it's going to do is backfire against them, sisters and brothers. They will not be successful in their plans of our destruction, because that's what they plan on doing, sisters and brothers. But it said no weapon. This is highlighting the fact that, sisters and brothers, you have nothing to fear, right? Because, excuse me, brothers, we have nothing to fear as a nation. Because once we understand and come to the full understanding that we are that one body, right? Because our enemy has spent countless of hours and money to make sure you never focus on the fact that you are in fact one, right? One nation, right? because they want us to be separated. They want us to have conflict. They want these things to happen, right? So they keep us separated. They keep us in that mindset of, I got this, I got it, so I'm again, So we have to understand that if we all don't have it, then we're all going to, perish, right? Because our power is in us uniting, us being that one body, right? So they make sure that we never understand, that we're always thinking, separate. I got this, you got this, you know what I'm saying? You need to get it, you need to get this, you need to get this. I got that, I got a house, you got it, you need to get your own. This is how the black man and woman thinks of America today. They don't want to see their peer uh be good just like them. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to work together. And this is a common thing that they have pushed in our communities, which is why our community is so, separated like it is, because they know that's where that power lies, right? And us coming together, us as one body, which is why they couldn't have Elijah Muhammad's, which is our messenger, his vision, basically the Nation of Islam. They had to cut that. They had to put in someone else, right? They had to put in an imposter to make sure that we never came to that unity, that one body, because he had Elijah Muhammad. He was our brother, right? Is our brother, right? So he's making sure that we're understanding that we're one body, right? They didn't have that, right? They're teaching this is not separation. They're teaching that what am I trying to say? Uh,
Integration.
right, integration, right, sisters and brothers. So they want us to be integrated with them, so they see exactly what we're doing. They can't have us separated, right, from them, and us thinking for ourselves, us coming together, and us all these blacks over here thinking they got to figure out, they got to know what you're doing, right? They got to be in the scoop of everything. So that's why they put one of theirs in that looks like us, an imposter, in that position, so he would be able to deceive our nation. And it said, why do we love the devil? Because he gives us nothing. And Farrakhan, in fact, is a devil in black skin. And he has given us nothing, given the Nation of Islam nothing. He's done nothing but taken from them, taken from the brothers and sisters, demon, wolves in sheep's clothing. This is what they do, sisters and brothers. They take from us, sisters and brothers. That's why, like she shared, it's the pastors, the preachers. Those are the ones in those positions, those devil children, the demons, taking from you. That's all they do. Lie to you and take your money, sisters and brothers. When this message here is a free gift, sisters and brothers, should nobody be taking money from you to give you what is for you, your light, a guide that's given to you, that's for you. Should nobody be taking any money from you, right? But they are, sisters and brothers. That's because they are just like their devil fathers. They just look like you, right? Sisters and brothers, so they have to do it in a different way, right? Because, you know, by manipulating you and you giving them all your money, right? Or, they're living off of you and things of that nature. That's how you can see who these hidden enemies are, right? Because they're living off of you, they're pimping you, sisters and brothers, and that's how they're surviving in life, sisters and brothers. Because Farrakhan, he's a millionaire, but the Nation of Islam, what they have, right? Because he is in fact taking from us, right? He's not building anything. He doesn't have any businesses. He tore down all of it, everything. And that's what they do: kill, steal, and destroy. And that's exactly what Farrakhan has done. That's what his rap sheet shows, that he's done nothing but destroy the Nation of Islam. And he is in fact cursed, sisters and brothers. That's why they're in fact. That's why I said during this time, pastors and preachers and things of that nature, they're going to be on popsicles. Like, I don't know how to express that in a way, but they're people. It said, I wouldn't want to be in their shoes, right? You wouldn't want to be in their shoes, sisters and brothers, on this day during the tribulation. So we want to be in their shoes because they are, in fact, going to be exposed as liars, taking from people, sisters and brothers. That lie is going to be exposed that they've been being lied to. People are going to You don't understand the wrath of the people when they find these things out because they are dedicated, thinking that they're, trying to get to heaven in the sky, right? That they are. This is what they're telling you, right? So they're doing all these things that these pastors and preachers are telling them to do to get here, but they don't understand that that's a lie. That's all fake. And when they find that out, they done did all these things and they got their family members killed through Christianity. All these things that they did under this cross because of these people pushing this vision to them, this dream to them, sisters and brothers. So that alone is going to have that wrath of the people. I can't even describe it. Sisters and brothers, I said unprecedented times is about to happen here. Unprecedented times that we have never seen before, sisters and brothers. I can't explain to you the wrath of the people. I can't explain that to you because you gotta understand that people, family members died. People, sister brother, they put themselves in certain positions in life, all due to these pastors and preachers lying to them, right? So their lives then went to shambles. All these things happened to them because of these people, right? So that alone, sisters and brothers, is going to be a day to see, sisters and brothers, and we're going to be right here, sisters and brothers. But like I shared, no weapon formed against us will prosper during that time, sisters and brothers, because you will have the truth. You will have the true light, sisters and brothers, and that's why we're here warning you about what's about to take place, sisters and brothers, because it's important for us to give you that light because no one else is out here giving it to you, sisters and brothers. And if they're not telling you about your vision, they are in fact your enemy, sisters and brothers, because your vision is the Abrahamic covenant, God's sure word that He made to His nation for suffering here in hell, physical hell, not nothing in the sky, not nothing underground, sisters and brothers, physical hell here on earth, sisters and brothers, here in America. This is hell, right? And we got to understand that heaven is a place on earth too, in Arabia, our vision, sisters and brothers. So our vision will be fulfilled, which is the Abrahamic covenant, sisters and brothers. So that is what we have to understand and identify during this time because demons will unite together. We will also unite during this time. But the demons' vision is going to be taking over America, taking these states, trying to get back against their devil fathers. Our vision is getting out of here. It's going to be separate, complete separation. So the Abrahamic covenant, right? So understanding that alone will give you a light to where to go, right? Because your vision is the Abrahamic covenant, not staying here in America, not taking over America, because America is in fact about to be destroyed, right? So they're taking over something that's about to perish along with them. Because brothers, you don't want to be on that side, right, during this time, because they're going to try and reach out from their graves and take you down with them. Sisters and brothers, they know they're going down, right? So they're doing everything in their power to take you down with them, sisters and brothers, which is why this light is very important for you to see and understand that this is, in fact, your vision, our unity in fulfilling the Abrahamic covenant.
Yes, ma'am. In addition to what Sister Fatima has expressed of how they have us, doing this individualistic thing because they know our power is in our unity. They tell us, oh, be an independent black woman. That's a theme that's going on, independent black woman. And there's no power in being independent or being, by yourself and I got these things. And, we're supposed to want for your sister what you want for yourself, want for your brother what you want for yourself. These devils, like Sister Fatima explained, they know how powerful our unity is. So they have all of these things in place and they tell us, be independent. They have, they're plaguing our nation with demons. This is something that the devils have put on us through the rape of the original black woman for the last 400 plus years. So we have those who look like us, but are not us. They don't have the same bloodline as us, and they're mixed in among us. So also, we don't know who to trust. We don't know who to So that's also another situation that is, impeding on our unity. However, that's a weapon that they have formed against us, and that will not prosper either. So when
Mhm.
it says no weapon formed against us shall prosper, the other side of that is the one who is, forming that weapon against us. They will be crushed. They will be crushed. That's part of the consequence of forming that weapon against the righteous. So, understand, sisters and brothers, it shares here in the book of Joshua, it shares, have I not commanded you? Be strong and of good courage. Do not be afraid, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. So, this is being shared to Joshua. This also extends to us, sisters, warrior queens, our entire original nation. This extends to our entire body because it shares be strong and of good courage. So that means no fear. Earlier in the presentation, it shared men's heart to be failing for fear. However, that's not going to be our situation. That's also that's an emotional shock. That will be from something you're anticipating something that causes an emotional shock to the point where your heart stops. However, we have the information. The five mathematical pillars of Islam are nature of discipline, and one of those pillars is firm in your heart. And so when you have a firm heart, you are courageous. So you're not scared, you're not fearful, you're not, that's that courage that helps build up your courage by firming your heart. And this is something that your enemies, they're not gonna tell it they can't do that. They drink and they give themselves they feel like they're courageous. However, that's that's their pillars. However, you're when you want some courage, and I'm speaking in general, sisters and brothers, but having a drink so you could feel courageous to, do something, and all of those things are killing us. That's totally against us. However, that's the example that they have given us. So, we don't blame the product, we blame the manufacturer. We were told to submit, and that's what we did 100%. However, we have the information we're being given thorough knowledge of self during this time period as well. It shows that we cannot return without a thorough knowledge of self. And part of that is knowing exactly who we are, knowing exactly what's taking place, what's going on around us, who's who, what's what, and knowing how to protect ourselves through our discipline. So, sisters, again, they say, be an independent black woman. However, they do that to keep us from having that power because right now, the black woman is one of the most powerless people on the planet because of the type of oppression. They've stripped us down naked. They've taken our clothes off of us. They, tell us to bleach our skin and bleach our hair, stripping our beauty away. And, making us, telling us to hate ourselves because they hate us so much. They're telling us that, we need to hate ourselves. And because, you may not be aware of what's taking place, and they're all around us, the entertainers, influencers, role models, even some family members, they're telling you get a BBL and go do all these surgeries and things. And there's no power in displaying your bodies or, moving without any discipline, participating in all of these things that are totally against our nature, all these worldly, desires and things like that. So, as Sister Fatima expressed, through our unity, our us coming together, one body, we need each other, sisters. We all have different perspectives, and we need all those perspectives so that we can see the whole picture. We need every part of our body as well. We need every finger, we need every toe, we need every limb in order for us to function properly. So that's a weapon of, disunity, that independent black woman, that's a weapon that they're using against us. However, they will not prosper. And the evidence of that is right here before you, sisters. So with that, that's what I had here on this slide. Would you like to add anything else, Sister Fatima?
Yes, ma'am. And I want to make sure you all understand that everything is also mathematics, sisters and brothers, to understand that we are, in fact, going to be that higher pressure, sisters and brothers, right? So higher pressure defeats lower pressure, right? This and it doesn't matter how much this amount of high pressure will defeat lower pressure, sisters and brothers. So we are going to be that higher pressure, and they're going to be defeated, sisters and brothers, because, like I said, our unity, us coming together, is going to cause us to be that higher pressure, right? So that this is why they work so hard to keep us beneath them, because they're defeating us, right? Because we're that lower pressure. They're keeping us in the American dream, keeping us doing all these things that are keeping us, our nation, separated, right? So they're operating on a higher, pressure than we are, right? And that's why they keep us in that mindset, keep us in that frame, so we stay that lower pressure, right? So that's why when this event takes place, they're not gonna be able to do that anymore, right? They're not gonna have that power that they had anymore. Keep us down, hold us down, keep us beneath them, sisters and brothers. We're going to be that higher pressure, defeating them, sisters and brothers. So we have to understand that everything is mathematics, and like she said, every part of the body matters. And you know, the hand may have a different perspective than the head, right? So we got to understand that we all got to understand that that's a thing as well. One, but it's not that, we're all different parts of the body, right? But we all need each other, right? Because you may do this person may do this person may do that, right? This person may think this way, this person may think another way, but it's all perspective, all leads up to one answer, right? Because perspectives is just perspectives of the same body, right? That same answer, right? So understanding that, that's a big deal as well, because you may put one perspective down because of your body, because you're a different part of the body. You may be the mouth, you may be the nose, and you don't like smelling things. And you're not, that's why the nose is far away from the behind, right? Because you shouldn't be, what I'm saying, you're the nose, right? So it's just different perspectives. So we got to understand that alone, that could cause conflict as well, by not seeing that full picture, that we are one body, but it's different perspective to this body as well. So that alone is that would be a challenge as well for us. However, that's why our unity is very important at Hodge. It says it's hard, it's going to be, that's a hard mission to achieve, but it's important for us to achieve it, sisters and brothers. So that's why I say it's going to be so powerful when we do achieve this, sisters and brothers. Because when we achieve that, we're going to be that higher pressure, sisters and brothers, and they will not be able to defeat us, right? So that's important for you to understand as well. And with that, if you have something else to express, we'll be back with more, sisters and brothers.
All right. Yes, ma'am. We'll be back with more.
All right. Assalamualaikum.
Let me stop.